Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Welcome back, everybody. It's week 2 on the Mutant Menace build from Modelworx.kits.com. And this week we're going to start on the base because we got to. It's got to be painted at some point. And I've come up with an idea I think I'm going to like as far as what colors that I'm going to use. So to start, I'm going to do a band. This top and bottom is going to be a gunmetal. And around both sides, and I'll probably do this plateau and this plateau in a different color to that, and then we'll pull out some detail on these vents. But I think a good basic background is going to be gunmetal. So let's get the brush out and the squirty paint thing and start painting. Yeah, I've been painting all morning now. It's time to take a lunch break now. I got the gunmetal coat along this perimeter here, but of course the big news you can see is I've added some yellow into the damsels, into the babes uniform. Now this completes the trifecta of purple, teal, pink, and yellow. I guess that's a quadrecta. That's not a trifecta. The quadrangle of all of the Miami Vice colors, the yellow, the pink, the purple, and the aqua green. And of course I've got the pink and the green to do some repair work on, because it's not easy to paint a fine line. And I noticed after I started that the Tamiya purple that I used is glossy. It's not flat like the rest of them, which is nice because it gives me that vinyl look on the belts and things like that. However, it does make it a little bit more difficult to paint. It's that paint that wants to peel up from itself. And I've also got it on her belt here. And I've been alternating between the purple and the pink, or the purple and the yellow details, as to figure out which ones are going to be which. I don't know whether I want to paint her pouches here yellow, or whether I just want to maybe do the belt buckle yellow and leave the rest of it purple. I think the purple is fine as it is. I also tried a little bit of a yellow line on the boot. I didn't like that. I like it up here at the top, but I don't like it there at the bottom. I do need to paint the soles a different color, and I'm going to pull out some gray for that, just for the what would be the rubber part of the sole of the boot. I got to touch up the teal, and I got to touch up the spandex suit. I originally thought I was going to paint this yellow on as an undercoat and put gold over top of it, but now I'm kind of liking the yellow as itself. I might still put a gold detail here or there, but we're going to let this dry and come back. Actually, no, before I go, I am going to paint those boot soles, and then we'll let it take a break for lunch. And here again is the with her little noggin on there. I want to make sure that the yellow does not clash with the hair color, the actual blonde, which I know in some instances people insist on painting yellow. Blonde hair is not yellow. Only in the comic books is blonde hair yellow. Just done another round of detailed painting, cleaning up lines and getting things closer and touching up things, and I'm really liking this. I got one more round of touching up on the yellow to go, and I think I'm set. I really like the way the teal is coming back out. Now, the teal is the only color here, really, that is mixed. Everything else I have been able to find, like this Warlock purple, which is a very good magenta. Of course, you have whites and yellows and purples, but the teal is something I've had to mix with some white. So I want to make sure that when I do, if it's not too far off of my original teal, I might have to repaint the whole bit. So that's why we're letting this go. We're going to step back for a little bit, come back to it, and retouch the yellow. One last thing that I'm not wild about is this holster. I'm not sure if the holster for the gun is going to end up staying that color. I also am thinking about either adding yellow to this belt, to the the latch and these pouches. I'm afraid it looking a little bit too much like the Batman belt if I leave it all this one color. So that's what I'm kind of thinking about that. But then after we've got the body to where I'm really happy with it, the last thing will be to paint the face. Okay, so I'm finished for the day. Finished for the day on the Dame. I've got I started working on some details on the base. Did some pre-shading on those plates there. You can see the lines painted in. Gonna go over with a gray on top of these, but I need to mask that off in the morning. Big work was done on her today, and of course I've got the head ready to go on, but that's going to be the main focus of tomorrow's work, is that noggin there. Wait and put her belts on tomorrow as well, but all of the paint is drying. I keep seeing spots where I need to clean up, but every time I do that I end up smudging paint somewhere else, so I just need to let everything I've got dry and then do it one last pass on it tomorrow, on the body at least, and then I can tack her head onto it. Well, good morning everybody. It's Tuesday. How is everybody doing today, or how are you from the last 5 seconds ago when you were watching me do yesterday's work? It's always weird for me to think that time, of course, being relative, no time has passed for you, but a day has passed for me, or at least an overnight. And this morning I got up and I started working on this base again. Now, I've put the lady's body to the side. I think I'm happy with, I glued her belt on this morning. But I'm happy with her, so I want to get her away so that I stop working on it. It's one of those things that if I keep looking at it, I'm going to keep finding little things I want to change. And if I do that, I'm going to pass a point where I've screwed something up. So best to put it aside and leave it alone. Today I'm taking my attentions onto the base. Now, when I did the smaller Mutant base, the Monarch kit, it was the floor was kind of the same way with the tiles, but it had the big atom symbol on it, or this guy had this universal symbol on it, and I used some color shifting on the different plates to make it look like different plates in the floor. And I did the same thing here, but maybe a more toned down version of it. It depending on what light you see it in, as far as how well or how striking it gets, which is how color change paints work. I'm going to let these dry. I've gone in and taken some black and done some shading around the edges of the panels. Just tape them off, and spray a light, light zots against the seam there to break up those panels, give it a little bit of interest. Again, I don't want to strip. I don't want to take attention away from the rest of the figures just by making the base, look too much like a disco floor. So I want to keep a good balance there. Once these have dried, I will tape this off and go back in with the gunmetal that I sprayed yesterday and spray this edge back in. I might even try to paint this back in with by hand. I don't know. It's easier for me. I found this morning I was trying to tape this area off, and I found out it was easier if I just paint this, let it go, and then I can tape these plates off a lot easier than I could tape this rounded edge off. So we're gonna let that sit. We're gonna put that off to the side now and let it dry. I played with the throne a little bit more, and I wanted to make sure that when I sat it down it looked like it belonged there. So that's how that looks. So now I could take all of this and put it to the side and do the main work of today, which is the dame's, the babe's, the gal, the lovely lady's face. I have put in a little bit of red highlighting or blush on the cheeks and the forehead, and then I've sprayed, actually yesterday I painted the whites of the eyes. I painted them in blue actually, and then when I sprayed the flesh color over it this morning, it turned them a nice color. So I think I'm going to leave it that color and figure out how big a pupil I'm going to put on there and paint her eye. I need to decide which direction she's looking to, so I need to maybe set the body back in place and put her head on it. I think she should be looking back and to her left, because that's where the creature is. You don't want her to be completely oblivious to the creature behind her, so if nothing else, I'm sure she can smell them. Then we're going to be doing things like painting the lips in and painting the teeth in, things like that. The teeth are actually a pretty good color now too, so maybe just a little bit of, I don't want to go with a really bright red lipstick. I think that would be tacky. We'll deal with maybe a more natural color on the lips and see how that goes. Okay, I'm finishing up the work on her face. And I'm trying something new, and that is doing it once and then stopping. Something I have done in the past is I've second-guessed, third-guessed, and just painted and painted over and repainted faces. And it always ends up looking thick and not ultimately what I want. I'm sorry, I'm trying to put some paints away here. So I said to myself, self, this time you're not going to do that. You're going to do one shot at it. You're going to walk away. You're going to come back. Do you like it? Do you not? But you're not going to sit there and fret over it fret over every little brushstroke. So the result of that has been pretty good, I think. And I decided before I decided to paint the eyeballs in, that I was going to give the decals a shot, just to see if I would like it, because I didn't think perhaps the decals were going to be big enough. The wide-eyed look of this gal is completely appropriate to have full pupil decals. So let me show you what I came up with, and you tell me. Well, it's going to be too late, because who's going to listen to you at this point. But you tell me if you don't think that the eyes kind of work here with yes, you can see the full pupil, which is not normally the goal of using the decals. You normally slice the top so that they fit underneath the eyelids and things like that. But in this case, the frightened look, I think, is completely appropriate. So we're going to let that sit for a while. I found a color that I really liked of the eye decals, which is that bright blue. Maybe let's put the lighting on it so that you can maybe see it a little bit better. But yeah, there you can see the frightened look, which is good for the beast being behind her. Now I'm going to let this sit. I'm going to let all that sit and gestate. And then I'm going to pop it on her body and see if it works as a unit. And then we'll decide from there. The last thing I would do would be to put a gloss coat over top of those eyes. But before that, I think I want to touch up her black eyeliner. I think we've gone a little... I've painted over that in some spots, and I think I can come back and bring her eyelashes out a little bit more. But I quite enjoy how that looks. And I think we're ready to pop that on the neck and see how she looks full figure. Well, I think we're ready to recapitate her, if I guess that might be the term, to put a head on a body rather than to take one off. So I'm going to capitate her. Got the neck painted up, the collar. Getting in behind that neck is a treat. But we're ready to go. So I think a little bit of epoxy in there will fill up some gaps. I don't want to use CA because CA might seize up too quickly. So let me mix up a tiny bit of 1 minute epoxy, put it around, actually put it in her neck hole, and get it into position. Morning, everybody. It's Wednesday already. Good Lord, where's the week going? good news is that the Dame and the base are out on the back deck. I am putting a flat coat on them. Once they have been properly flat coated, I'll bring her in again, re-gloss her eyes and lips, and maybe some of the vinyl parts of her costume. And we'll be done with that much. And since it's only Wednesday, which is in stark contrast to what I said a second ago about it being Wednesday already. But since it's a Wednesday and I've got a few more days before the end of the week, I've decided to go back and take a second look at some of the details here on Hubert. I'm calling him Hubert because I've got no other name for him. I looked at him and I saw where some of the seams, particularly on the pants, I didn't like them. I actually, by strange coincidence, yesterday in the mail, it wasn't a coincidence because I ordered it, but yesterday I got my Blu-ray copy of This Island Earth. Now, I've been going on, bad old copies plus what's online for reference, and this Blu-ray has a lot of nice behind-the-scenes stuff. It's some publicity stills and all of that, and a much better version, a much cleaner version of the movie. And I'm happy with everything above the waist. I'm happy on this Mutant. Now, I will notice something that Chris did that on the sculpt of the pants that is, I won't say wrong, but alternate. The boots seem to have come, they didn't have this bell bottom thing or this cuff on it. They were more like a rounded, I don't know, it was certainly red there, and it looked like there might have been some veining going up on the pants to make them look less like pants. But we didn't get that on this sculpt, so I'm not going to try to duplicate that. But it did make me want to go back in and look at these seams that were in the resin part and how I didn't necessarily do a great job getting those cleaned up to begin with. So I have sanded those back down. I have cleaned them up a bit, and I am going to repaint, and I can do everything from here down in repainting fairly easy. I'm going to block all this stuff off so I don't mess it up because I'm very happy with how he looks from there up. And it's a fairly simple patch. I still have the original paints that I used to make the shadow color and to make the top of the pants, or the highlight color. So that's what we're going to do today, and then he'll be ready for a flat coat, and then all will be left to do will be to epoxy these parts to the base one last time. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get back onto repainting these seams. Alrighty, I was working on the pants on the Mutant, as Exeter would say, or Exeter, the Mutant. And I've put that to the side because I've brought the gal back in from outside where she was getting a flat coat put upon her. Everything on this, it delights me to no end except this. This looks like crap on a stick. This is what happens when you spray the flat paint over this metallic silver that I've used, this chrome, the Model Air chrome. So I'm going to repaint that because I kind of wanted it to be shiny anyway, along with putting a new gloss over her eyes and her lips. I think she will be mostly done, but I do like what the flat coat has done to a lot of the brush strokes that happened because I was using these brush-on paints, these figure paints, as opposed to spraying stuff on. When you when you when you brush on stuff by hand, it creates brush strokes. That's not a surprise. But when you spray it with a nice flat coat, or sometimes a satin coat, it does a good job at eliminating all those. So that's what I was kind of hoping for. That's the good news. Looking at that silver, though, and this gunmetal that's on this gun, hence the term gunmetal, and I think this blaster needs a complete repaint, except for the light blue bits here, but I think he needs a repaint. So he's going to get a repaint, the gloss on the eyes and the lips, and I think I might even gloss the purple back up. I liked how that looked when it had a shine to it from the purple glossy paint. I kind of got used to seeing that, So I'm thinking that I might want to paint that back on as well. Okay, so I've repainted the silver on the blaster here on the gun. And that's all looking good and fine and well and happy. And I'm realizing now is my chance. Since I have to repaint that, now is my chance to change my mind about the color of it. I think it needs to be something brighter and happier. Yes, I know it's a laser gun or a blaster or whatever you want to call it in this universe. Yes, Morbius, it could be a simple blaster. But something that fits the popcorniness, and I'm using that term correctly, the popcorniness of the rest of this gun and the rest of the expression of this character. So do I want to make it a nice bright color? I don't want to make it something that's necessarily going to pull focus away. It should look like it's in the, make sure this is in camera, make sure something that's in the universe of this character but doesn't pull focus away from the rest of the character. I'm just repainting the copper / gold on this part of the barrel, because for some reason that, well, I know what reason, because this is that wargaming paint and not the Vallejo paint, and it seems to be only the Vallejo paint that was affected by the flat spray. Carefully putting her back in her pegs. So I want to pick a color that I think will look good there, that works to her benefit and not distracting. Okay, so I have, I think the gal is done. Outside of putting the final gloss on her eyes and lips, I went back with the Tamiya purple, the X16, and I just did the back of her glove and the inside of her collar there. I just touched the highlights of that on the belt and some of her holsters and the gloves, just to touch the highlights of them so that you would get that gloss look that I wanted. I wanted the gloss vinyl look. So everything else, I mean, that gloss stands out more because everything else has been flattened. Still need to do her eyes and lips, like I said. Excuse me. I did use the bluish gray for the gun to cover up that gunmetal, and I brought the copper color to the black, to the back detail in that fin, so that it kind of keeps the palette down to a minimum number of colors. And we're ready to, I think, once I gloss her eyes and lips, we're ready to epoxy her to the base, and then we'll be ready to touch up his pants. And we're down to just a very short punch list of things. I've got to finish painting his pants, and then he's done and can be epoxied to the base. The throne, I'm never going to epoxy. I'm never going to stick that down, because that's how you turn it off and on. You would, move it up, hit the battery pack, and sit it back down. It's such a clean and obvious joint that it's not going to be a problem if that's not glued down. I can get around him no matter what. But she is all but ready to be epoxied in place. Well, good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, the gateway to the weekend, and I'm sad today. Why are you sad, Lou? I'm sad because I'm done with this kit, and I really had a ball doing it, so that makes me sad. I really enjoyed doing this, painting this. It was one of those kits that seemed to go together without a hitch. The painting of it went together without a hitch, and that happens so rarely that when it happens, I want to celebrate it, but I really didn't want it to end. There is one last thing I can do today to stretch out the joy a little bit longer, and that is I would like to put a solid base under this, a solid, well, if you look underneath, I'm not going to turn this up because, I don't want to, but the base of it is not solid underneath. There's an ugliness there, and what happens when that happens is that you can't really sit it down or slide it around. Let me just show you. I'll take the take that off, and then see, I'll tip this up so you can see what I'm talking about. Everything is nice and epoxied. See how it's hollow right in here? Not the front part, but this part back here is hollow. That doesn't sit on a shelf very nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a sheet of styrene and stick it under there and put some black felt on it so that I can slide it around on a shelf a lot easier and not have to worry about it like the lip falling over the edge of the end of a shelf or something. So that's the last thing to do today, and then we can dust it off and put it on the shelf as a completed thing. Okay, so first thing I did was to set the base down on this piece of sheet styrene, and I traced the outside edge of it. Now I don't need the base, the cover, to go all the way out to the outside edge, so I kind of freehanded something that was about 1/4 of an inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch in from that line. And I'm going to cut this out, and that's what I'm going to glue around the perimeter. Now, this front piece right in here, from about here down, that's all solid. And you really wouldn't need something under there, but if I don't put something under there, it's going to look ugly, plus it might want to tip forward a little bit. So I'm just doing that to keep it on the same plane as the rest of it. So we're going to cut this out. I think I'm going to go ahead and put the felt on it before I even glue it, because it's going to be easy that way, and then I can just set everything down on it, put a bead of CA around it, and then set it on the base, and then we'll be done. Alrighty, here is the finish. The base has been glued on, the felt has been put on the bottom, and I tacked it in place with some CA. But here you go, the final beauty pass of the Dame and the Mutant. Forgive this little bit here, it's clumsy, I know, but it's closing up the hole that's baked into the back of that throne. And like I said last week, if you're looking at the back of my bases, the back of my builds, then I've lost you already as a viewer. So there you go, and we'll do maybe we'll get a close-up in here on these faces. She definitely looks worried, and he definitely looks mutant-y. And one with the light off so that you can see the spooky lighting in the throne there and how it shines up on his face. Let's try one with the overhead lights off as well. Ooh, scatty. And the light of the camera is compensating. But you can see how the light is coming up on him perfectly. I do like the color changing aspect of that. I do like. And that's it for the Mutant Menace model build. The Mutant Menace model with the Mutant and the Space Babe. I want to thank again Dave Bennett over at Modelworx for creating or spearheading such a marvelous kit, and for all the talented artists involved with it. It was a very fun kit. Now, you know I'm going to find something to gripe about, because that's my nature. You show me a perfect sunshiny day and I'll find something to, just to pick at. And if I had to pick at anything on this kit, I would have made more parts. I don't know why. I don't know why I say that. I'd have made it in more parts. Maybe it's because I saw the the 3D STLs for the Gal. I didn't see the Mutant parts, but I did see the Gal's parts, and it might have been more fun to have those legs separate and the arms separate. So it would have been easier to clean them up a little bit if they had been separate, but that's just me. Everything else about it was fine. That's my own little niggling thing, as if, you know, and that's nothing. That's nothing. That's not a complaint at all. So if I have to dig that hard to find something to say, that speaks to the quality of the rest of it. But that's how it went, and it was a fun build. Well, first of all, I'm a big fan of that the Mutant design, so any chance to build one of those, I'm happy. So until next week, we might do something a little easier next week. So I need to get back into doing another ship. I've got one here on the desktop, the Dune, the Atreides Ornithopter, but I'm looking at the parts, and to me, it's at most a one-day build, so stretching it out into a week is going to be fun. Maybe I'll have some fun with the painting of it. That'll take some time. So we got that coming up. I've got the Rhedosaurus sitting down here. That's coming up. Didn't want to do another creature right away. I'm kind of wanting to spread things around, do things a little differently, and not do similar products one after another. Did a resin kit with a creature last week or this week, so next week is excuse me, is a commercial kit of a ship. That's about as different as you can get. And then maybe next week we'll do something else. So until then, we'll find out what it is. Oh, it's only Thursday, by the way, so I'm gonna hang out and still put this video up on Friday, but I may mow the grass tomorrow, so if it comes up late, you'll know that the grass mowing went well. So until next time, y'all be safe, be smart, be good to each other. Be back here next time.